This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Hello again. Thanks for checking in. The worst of the ice storm now in our rear view mirror, but what a mess this morning. Schools shut down, accidents all over the place. This snowplow operator in central Pennsylvania says there's nothing nice about driving on ice.
The freezing rain makes the roadway very, very slippery. And unfortunately, people think that they can still drive on it. It's not snow, it is ice. And everybody, including us, will slide on ice.
And there's no rest for the winter weary. A more robust storm is coming this weekend, late Saturday into Sunday.
This one actually could have a little more oomph to it, hitting some of the same areas that we have seen getting the ice and the freezing rain.
Fox News meteorologist Janice Dean will have more on the weather with Kevin coming up. President Trump spoke this morning at the 72nd annual National Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C.
From the earliest days of our republic, faith in God has always been the ultimate source of the strength that beats in the hearts of our nation. We have to bring religion back.
The president said his near assassination last summer in Butler, Pennsylvania, has strengthened his faith and that of his family.
None of us knows exactly when our time on earth will be over. You never know. A truth I confronted a few short months ago. God was watching me.
The National Prayer Breakfast has happened the first Thursday in February every year in this country since 1953, when Dwight D. Eisenhower was in the White House. The NCAA says the president's executive order banning trans athletes from girls' sports provides a clear national standard, and it will enforce it. In signing that order at the White House yesterday, Mr. Trump said the war on women's sports is over. He was flanked by female athletes from grade school to college.
Every single girl in the room that was there experienced this, contributed to this, and we all worked so hard to get this across the finish line, and it was a great day of celebration.
Former NCAA swimmer Paula Scanlon is grateful to the president for his executive action.
He has done wonderful things for women, which is crazy because the left has tried to paint him as anti-woman, as misogynistic. Well, guess what? A group of women, including young girls, stood behind him and said, thank you.
The president is also banning trans athletes from competing in the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu supports the president's plan to take over the Gaza Strip and rebuild that war-torn Palestinian territory.
This is the first good idea that I've heard. It's a remarkable idea, and I think it should be really pursued, examined, pursued, and done, because I think it will create a different future for everyone.
When it comes to the possible deployment of U.S. troops to Gaza,
I think we're a very long way from that. But ultimately, what I know in sitting with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Israelis is they want to finish the job against Hamas.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says nothing good can happen in Gaza until Hamas is no more in Gaza. Critics are concerned a U.S. takeover of Gaza could lead to ethnic cleansing of the Palestinian people. Faith-based refugee resettlement programs are struggling to make sense of the Trump administration's mass deportation of migrants. They're worried how this would impact efforts to find homes for refugees.
Frankly, we are relying on church partners and donors and volunteers more than we ever have before.
Matthew Sorens with World Relief says unlike the millions of illegal border crossers, refugees have already been vetted by U.S. officials. He's taking President Trump at his word when it comes to protecting the special class of migrants.
He has said he values legal immigration, which we agree with him on. He has said he wants to stand with persecuted Christians, and so it really is a lifeline for the persecuted church.
Sorens says last year 30,000 foreigners who were resettled in this country were Christians whose lives were in danger in their home countries. The dismantling of the U.S. Education Department is on the to-do list for President Trump. He's serious about it, says Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Our education system is failing students in this country. As the mother of a child, I want an education system that helps my child read and write, teaches him math, nothing else in the classroom. And the president is wholeheartedly committed to we can make academia great again in this country.
The Trump administration wants to abolish the Federal Department of Education and and return education policy to the states. Right now, 65% of fourth graders cannot read at grade level. Fighting DOJ in the streets.
This is a corrupt abuse of power.
This illegal interference is threatening lives all over the world.
This is a constitutional crisis.
Democrats are demanding Elon Musk be fired from the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency.
Elon Musk and his team, we don't know what they're doing behind these closed doors.
Elon Musk is here to seize power for himself. You understand what democracy looks like? This ain't it.
DOJ yesterday entered the offices of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. It runs the National Weather Service and the National Hurricane Center. Staffers were told to expect a 50% reduction in staff. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley supports the efforts of DOJ. He says groups like USAID need to go broke for being woke.
Billions and billions of taxpayer dollars have gone to fund outrageous stuff overseas, like trans-affirming projects in Zimbabwe or whatever, but also, let's not forget, to fund their preferred media outlets. And there's been no accountability. So yes, what's happening is Trump is exposing all of this. He is cutting off the liberal supply chains, as it were, and the liberals are just losing their minds. They're totally losing their minds. We need more of it.
Musk says he's been able to cut about $4 billion a day in government waste. The goal is to eliminate $2 trillion by the year 2026. Today's the deadline for federal workers to accept buyouts in a deferred resignation program set up by the Trump administration. More from Matt Piper in Washington.
For those who take it, they'd get full salary and benefits and not have to work through the end of September. The deferred resignation offer is available to all full-time federal employees except those in the military, postal service, or those working in immigration enforcement and national security.
More than 40,000 federal workers have taken the buyout offer thus far. The administration's target is 200,000. Lung cancers being diagnosed in more people who've never smoked. It is now the fifth largest cause of cancer deaths among non-smokers, and the biggest reason why? Air pollution. Still to come on the Noon Report, a Thursday edition. Rock salt shortage, anti-Super Bowl parties, and prison reform in Pennsylvania.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. A slippery go this morning, but improvement is coming this afternoon. I'll have forecast details coming up in 10.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. With more winter weather on the way this weekend, rock salt is in high demand. There's a shortage in New York due to supply problems at American Rock Salt, a massive mining facility in Mount Morris, and that's got smaller salt suppliers extra busy.
We're in the salt business, and it's been a little crazy the last few days. So
Mike Seitz runs a rock salt business in Wayne County and says he can't keep up with the demand.
No place to get salt, and apparently we're the only ones in town right now that have it. So it's been a little nuts.
More than 150 trucks were lined up for salt at Seitz' place of business yesterday.
We can typically put 20 ton in one of those 10-wheel dump trucks, but right now we're trying to keep everybody at a 5-ton limit.
American Rock Salt says local governments and municipalities are prioritized customers right now. Troops stationed at Fort Drum in Watertown, New York, are being deployed to the southern border. About 500 members of the Army's 10th Mountain Division are headed to the U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona. There they will assist in border security efforts. Prison reform is part of Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro's $50+ billion state budget proposal. Shapiro wants to shut down 2 prisons across the Commonwealth. John Eckenrode with the Corrections Officers Association, not a fan of that.
Our individual prison population is going to increase. And anytime you put more inmates in the same area, violence increases.
We'll know by next week which prisons will be closing. After that, a public comment period gets underway. John Hargreaves with the Pennsylvania Prison Society thinks those closures are good for the Commonwealth.
Well, some of the prisons need vast capital improvement, and this will be an opportunity to not do that, but just close that particular prison.
There are 39,000 inmates inside of 24 Pennsylvania state prisons today. That's a drop of about 10,000 the past decade. The new transgender sports ban signed by President Trump yesterday means RIT runner Sadie Schreiner will no longer be allowed to compete in female meets. The junior sprinter's been clobbering the competition at the Rochester Institute of Technology. This Trump ban means Schreiner's career is essentially over with at RIT. The NCAA says it will enforce the new rule. Oneida County, New York Executive Anthony Picenti is applauding the president's immigration policy. He says this country cannot handle a surge of migrants any longer, like the levels that we saw during the previous administration.
We can't sustain that, and there does have to be a pause, and there does have to be some type of detente in terms of timeout here.
Picenti says he supports a pause on migration until we get a better understanding of exactly who is coming into this country. Meanwhile, the city of Ithaca in central New York has just reaffirmed its sanctuary status. That means Ithaca will not cooperate with federal authorities when it comes to deportation efforts. The investigation continues into a massive egg theft in Greencastle, Pennsylvania, south of Harrisburg. Police say the eggs were taken late Saturday from the back of a truck in Franklin County. About 100,000 eggs were stolen, worth some $40,000. Cops have no leads and are asking anyone with any egg information to contact the Pennsylvania State Police. As egg prices soar and the shortages persist, more of us are eyeing backyard chicken coops as a solution. But experts warn the cost and care of raising chickens are not as simple as they seem.
Raising backyard chickens has grown in popularity since the pandemic, especially with the rising cost of store-bought eggs. But experts are now saying it's not always cost-effective. Coops alone can cost between $200 and $2,000, and monthly expenses for feed and maintenance can add up to around $60 or more. However, it can be a more economical choice if you consider the quality of eggs, other benefits, and the potential for reducing your overall grocery bill. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. Attention, Mom and Dad. If you've got a teenager looking for a summer job, well, Six Flags Darien Lake is looking for you. Western New York's largest theme park is hoping to hire 1,000 people ahead of opening day on May 16th. They need everything from ride operators to lifeguards. You can find out more at jobs.sixflags.com. The Super Bowl is Sunday, but not everyone will be watching. In Buffalo, football fans are hosting anti-Super Bowl parties after their beloved Bills got knocked out of the playoffs for the fourth time in 5 years by the Kansas City Chiefs.
It was heartbreaking. The next day, that Monday, I felt like I was in mourning. I honestly felt like somebody in my family died.
Kim Slowinski's a proud member of Bills Mafia and thinks questionable calls by the refs in the AFC Championship game may have cost Buffalo a chance at getting to their first Super Bowl in more than 30 years.
A lot of calls that went against us. It was just one after another. It was just terrible.
Fans like Slowinski are tired of the Chiefs dominating the AFC and are choosing to make a statement by not watching the Super Bowl this year. They're not alone either. Local businesses, including the Luna Lounge in Cheektowaga, are leaning into the boycott by hosting anti-Super Bowl parties.
We see online all these boycotts, all stuff like that, and everything like, why don't we do something different? Well, flip the script, if you will.
Luna Lounge CEO Caesar Walsh says instead of having the game turned on Sunday, his establishment will be showing Josh Allen highlights. For those who don't know, Josh Allen is the quarterback for the Buffalo Bills. The Luna Lounge's Jonathan Crane.
We feel like it's an opportunity to bring everyone together for a good time in a bad situation and continue to root for the Bills.
The Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls back in the early 90s, but haven't been there since. We've got more sports next. It's the 2-Minute Drill on Family Life.
The Slugger is back.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. You know, the Mets fans, I think, are pretty happy because the news is Pete Alonso and the Mets have agreed to a 2-year contract worth $54 million. So Alonso will be with the Amazons next season. Now to the NBA. The 76ers fell to the Heat 108-101, losing their third game out of their last 4. Tyrese Maxey had 31 points, but obviously it wasn't enough. In Brooklyn, the Nets got thumped by the Wizards 119-102. Keon Johnson had a game-high 25 points, but the Nets' 3-game winning streak is over. The Wizards now have a 3-game winning streak, which is quite amazing because they've only won 9 games on the season. Other winners on the hardwood, the T-Wolves' Anthony Edwards erupted for 49 points as Minnesota beat up the Bulls 127-108. Speaking of erupting, how about a 50-point game? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander did it again. He now has 3 50-plus point games in a 7-game span. He had 50 last night against the Suns, and the Thunder put a hurt on Phoenix 140-109. The Nuggets, Grizzlies, Spurs, Cavs, Bucks, Jazz, and Magic, your other winners. On the ice, the Rangers rallied with 2 goals in the third period, and they came back to beat Boston 3-2. Artemi Panarin, Vincent Trocheck, and Chris Kreider scored for the Blue Shirts. Kreider's goal was a short-handed one and proved to be the game winner in that contest. Edmonton 4-3 over Chicago in overtime, and the Kings doubled up the Canadiens 6-3. That is a look at sports.
Thank you, Randy. Man, still to come on the Noon Report, Planetary Parade, National Marriage Week, and the National Prayer Breakfast. What did Trump have to say today?
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stone Street. In Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, Alice asked the Cheshire Cat, "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" The wily cat replies, "Well, that depends a good deal on where you want to get to." Alice then replies, "Well, as long as I get somewhere." To which the cat says, "Oh, you're sure to do that, if only you walk long enough." The inseparable and the essential relationship between the destination and the journey should be obvious to us all, but it often is not. That's especially true when it comes to technology, something that has progressed at a dizzying pace and has taken us all along for the ride, but without any clear idea of where we're going or why we're going there. From artificial intelligence to assisted reproduction to social media to automation to assisted suicide to all kinds of other things, new developments in technology are transforming how we live, how we love, how we communicate, procreate, and yes, even die. And few who are leading all of these technologies seem willing or able to explain our destination. What's the purpose? Efficiency? Maximizing utility and pleasure? Making tech billionaires richer? With technology so pervasive and powerful, it's essential to ask, like the cat did, just where society should go before deciding where it will go. A brand new project to explore just how technological progress should serve human flourishing has now united a stellar group of conservative leaders. A Future for the Family, a new technology agenda for the right, is a project that is asking where technology should take us. In a statement of principles published just recently in First Things, these leaders state, and I quote, "A new era of technological change is upon us. It threatens to supplant the human person and make the family functionally and biologically unnecessary. But this anti-human outcome is not inevitable. Conservatives must welcome dynamic innovation, but they should oppose the deployment of technologies that undermine human goods." End quote. The statement gives numerous examples. For instance, medical interventions in the form of IVF and surrogacy bypass the body in reproduction, turn vulnerable women into wombs for rent, and commodifies the smallest lives, sometimes, in fact, even often fatally. Technological efforts to control life and death have led to a slippery slope of euthanasia and assisted suicide on one hand, and a transhumanist quest for immortality on the other. Ever-expanding access to pornography and digital prostitution has turned sex into a product that propels addiction, predates on children, and corrupts our most essential relationships. Unchecked algorithms of social media rewire children's brains and hijack their most vulnerable stages of development, all in the name of profit. In short, our technologies promise human connection and productivity, but in actuality, users are isolated and we're all placed under constant surveillance. Good policy guidance, including at the federal level, is much needed right now. The Future for the Family Statement proposes 10 sound principles that can direct our technological journey. The list of signatories and organizations behind A Future for the Family is impressive to say the least. Together, these experts in policy, social science, family, and theology offer what's long been missing in this rush toward technological progress. This is a project that Christians need to know about. In fact, it's a project we can celebrate, join, support, and advance. Visit afutureforthefamily.org. That's afutureforthefamily.org. You can read the statement there and its guiding principles, as well as a whole set of curated resources. If there will be lasting change in this national journey with technology, it's going to be because we choose to live differently. The statement's a clear and much needed reminder that our technology should serve families, not the other way around. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you very much. Outside next, a very busy Kevin Williams.
Here is your Family Life weather forecast for this afternoon. Cloudy skies, breezy, and any icy mixed precipitation tapering to a couple of showers and some drizzle as temperatures climb well through the 30s into the 40s for some. Turning colder, blustery tonight, evening drizzle, then flurry, skies break, low temps 20s. Blustery cold tomorrow, clouds, sun, lake effect snow showers, high temps 20s and low 30s. Saturday, a little sun, but snow is back with ice. Come Saturday night, could be substantial.
All right, Kevin, thank you. This is the Noon Report. I'm Bob Price, and a lot going on Thursday, the 6th of February. President Trump facing more pushback over his plan to take over the Gaza Strip. Key aspects of that plan are being walked back today by administration officials. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says any U.S. involvement in Gaza would be temporary.
The only thing President Trump has done very generously, in my view, is offer the United States willingness to step in, clear the debris, clean the place up from all the destruction.
The commander-in-chief said on Truth Social this morning that no U.S. troops would take part in the makeover of Gaza. The president spoke this morning at the National Prayer Breakfast in Washington. That religious gathering happens the first Thursday in February and has so every year since 1953.
Deep in the soul of every patriot is the knowledge that God has a special plan and a glorious mission for America, and it's His hand that guides us every single step of the way.
The president said his near assassination last summer in Pennsylvania has strengthened his faith and the faith of his family. The NCAA promised today to comply with the president's new executive order banning transgender athletes in women's sports. College sports governing body says that executive order sets a, quote, clear national standard, end quote. The NCAA says it will ban trans athletes in all sports at the Division 1, 2, and 3 levels. New developments today in the president's push to reshape the federal government. It's being led by Elon Musk, who's promised to clean house through his Department of Government Efficiency. More from Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles.
Elon Musk openly bragging about the heavy hand he's taking in his review of federal agencies, and that has government workers and Americans that rely on their services worried about what might get cut and when. And right now, Democrats are largely powerless to stop it.
Federal workers have until midnight tonight to accept a buyout offer from the Trump administration. 40,000 already have accepted these deferred resignations, which will give them full pay and benefit through September. The White House is hoping to get 200,000 federal workers to sign on to the government downsizing deal. And again, they have till midnight tonight. Tomorrow marks the start of National Marriage Week, an annual 8-day event that celebrates marriage in America. Here's Family Life's Greg Gillespie.
A week before Valentine's Day is a launch of a national initiative to strengthen marriages. Today we talk with Arlene Pellicane, who is an author and a podcaster and the national spokesperson for National Marriage Week. I loved on your website you have the thing that marriage is not about your current love, but a commitment to future love.
Yes, Greg, what is the core longing that we all want to be loved, but sometimes we want it like it has to be on our terms, or it's got to be fast, like I don't want to work for it, I just want to have it. Or if my marriage isn't making me deliriously happy, maybe I'm in the wrong marriage. And we're saying, wait a minute, let's think about this. The theme of this year's Marriage Week, pursuing a lasting love, there's a pursuit. So how can we shift marriage in our own minds to have that mindset, right, of like, wait, this is totally worth it, and how can we make that pursuit easier? And then in our culture, it's worth it to shift the culture to say, research is showing you will be happier if you are married, you will be healthier, it's a better way to raise kids, financially you're better off. So there's a lot of good things about marriage that we don't hear about in the media very much or on social media.
You have put together a list of 4 decisions that help that pursuit. What decisions do good couples need to make?
After being married 26 years, these are kind of the decisions I found to work. Decision 1 is play by the rules, that there are certain rules of engagement, of marriage, boundaries that you need to keep. And for couples to pre-decide, hey, this is what's cool in our relationship and this is what's not. Decision number 2 is to give thanks every day. When you got married, you weren't like, oh man, what a terrible person this is. No, you were thankful. You were like, this man, this woman is amazing. And it was rooted in gratitude that you found each other. So keep in that appreciation. Decision 3 is serve your spouse. Instead of asking, what can you do for me today? Or like, no, what can I do for you? Hey, honey, how could I make your day easier today? Honey, how can I pray for you today? Oh, I see you're struggling to carry that. Let me help you. And I know, Greg, some listeners will think, well, then I will get taken advantage of because I'm serving all the time and the other person isn't doing anything. And in those situations, you're trusting God and you're serving as unto the Lord. Decision number 4 is to take fun seriously. Fun is what brought you together as husband and wife, but sometimes after mortgages and bills and schedules and kids, you're like, we'll have fun later. Then you think, why is our marriage so boring, such a drag? So plan that date night, plan that vacation, laugh together, be silly together again, take fun seriously.
Our guest is Arlene Pellicane. She is the spokesperson for National Marriage Week. Arlene, your website has some good resources for date night ideas, a couples connection plan. Talk about the resources that people can find on marriageweek.org.
We have something brand new this year, and between February 7th and 14th, there is a live stream every evening that is completely free. So you can look at the topics, whether you need help with your intimacy life, physical intimacy, or conflict, or family of origin issues. There's all sorts of topics.
Arlene, let's give some encouragement. Some of the folks are, wow, we're really struggling. We've got some distance between us, or we haven't figured out a good way to navigate these days. What are the challenges that are really hard these days?
There are a lot of things that are challenges. Social media is very distracting. So if you have a spare moment, both of you are on your phones instead of maybe sitting on the couch talking to each other for just 5 minutes, right? Maybe you're having dinner and the phones are out. Something really simple is guard that mealtime. I call it the power hour. Like guard that, first of all, you do eat together instead of everyone separate, like make that part of your rhythm. And I think being child-centered, it starts as a good thing. Of course you want to take care of your children. It's all about the soccer schedule. It's all about the kids' schedule. But instead of asking, wait a minute, before we do this new sport or activity, how is this going to impact our marriage? And not just mom and dad orbiting around the children.
One last word of hope for folks who are struggling these days. What's the message you'd have for them?
It's never too late. Right where you're at, you could do, let's pretend your marriage just got 1% better every week. That's just a small change. That's hey, let me give you a massage before you go to bed. Hey, let me listen to you without interrupting. Let me make your lunch for you. You seem like you're in a hurry. Just 1% better, and you'll be in a much different place a year from now. And talk to older mentor couples around you that have strong marriages, and don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it.
That is some great marriage advice there from podcaster Arlene Pellicane, a spokesperson for National Marriage Week, which starts tomorrow and runs through next Friday, Valentine's Day. By the way, you can subscribe, listen to, and share this feature, as well as all our original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. The disturbance that brought the mix of snow and ice this morning departing, and precipitation tapering and switching to a couple of showers and some drizzle this afternoon. Colder air returns on gusty winds tonight and tomorrow. The next weather system looks more robust. Significant snow and ice will be a risk with it over the weekend. For this afternoon, cloudy skies, breezy, and any icy mixed precipitation tapering to a couple of showers and some drizzle as temperatures climb well through the 30s into the 40s for some. Turning colder, blustery tonight, evening drizzle, then flurry, skies break, low temps 20s. Blustery cold tomorrow, clouds, sun, lake effect snow showers, high temps 20s and low 30s. Saturday, a little sun, but snow is back with ice. Come Saturday night, could be substantial.
All right, don't like that word there, substantial. Thank you anyway, Kevin. Finally at noon, sky gazers rejoice. We got a planetary parade on the way, so to speak. Later this month, 7 planets, count them 7, will align at the same time in a rare celestial event. Mark the date, February 28th. That's the last day of the month. Those 7 planets will appear together in the night sky. Now, such an occasion won't happen again until the year 2040. Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, Neptune, Mercury, and Saturn will all appear in a row, kind of like a batting lineup. Now, not all the planets will be visible to the naked eye. You'll need binoculars to see Uranus and Neptune, but should be quite a show February 28th. And that's our world, the world we live in. Thursday, February 6th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.